strongest team at this tournament so far. I think they'd be the first to agree. But what I always say about tournaments, particularly, tournament play is about form. It is about hitting your good days at the right time, because every team in a tournament will have good days and bad days. And if you can cling on, if you can just make it through those bad days, whether they be knockouts, whether they be groups, if you can get the job done to progress through those, that is what happens with championship winning teams. Simple as that. And SSG, maybe they find a bit of form now. Maybe, they start pushing forward. It was a 2-0 against Heroic, and they can double down here against M80. Let's not forget, in the last 2 years, the M80 roster, obviously formerly as X-Set, but M80 now, that's 6 games they've played in NAL between the two of them over 3 stages each year. SSG have won every one but one.
Looking more towards the kind of most recent years, they've gone through a couple of changes themselves as a organisation at the time. I think, again, if we just focus on the most recent results and looking at how SSG beat Heroic earlier, I know it was an 8-7 and a 7-4. It wasn't the cleanest of games. It was really scrappy, especially in that first map. But SSG have kind of had themselves tested here against a team that are quite, I don't want to say ranked in style, but they are very aggressive. They'll go for 1v1s, they'll go for swings, they'll go for peaks. They will be up in your face. And M80, I think, have some of those characteristics as well. I think they're well equipped for this one, but we'll have to play the game out and see how things shine on through. Diaz, the one to really raise, I think, is the big player on this side, Tim. Most clutches in the entire competition bar, absolutely no one, and the 4th highest rated overall. Absolute beast so far. Could be the defining factor here unless we see the members of SSG put up a good show like they had earlier against Heroic, where every single player was getting involved when it came to the kills.
Quite a set of switches there for Diaz, who went from Blackbeard to Jackal to Ace.
Man's indecisive.
All very different styles of play for those 3 operators, but he is going to land on the hard breach at the end of things. I don't think he's going to be the focus of the hard breach, and that's going to be Kino on the Hibana, but we are attacking onto Armory and Throne, and we continue to see earlier, we've seen a number of theme parks so far today, and we continue to see that where teams fail to open up walls on Armory Throne, they struggle to get the attacking wins. You're pushing in through 2 single doors, you are basically funneling yourself. So hopefully, I'd like to see Kino getting in there, getting maybe yellow wall open and one other, so that there is not a safe space, a comfortable space inside of sight for those defenders.
Already straight inside a break here as well, with the Amaru getting straight inside. They have at least some control, an entry point in towards the building here with which to work from. Spirits is trying to make his own, but Rampy reminds him it ain't as easy as just stepping into the building. It does need a bit of coordination sometimes as he shuts down and gets the first kill in this round.
Hell of a fight from Rampy, that. Really well done. Spirits had already landed the first shots, knew exactly where he was, but Rampy coming away with the win on that one and leaving them 5 versus 4. Fultz still on the top floor. The thing is now, it gives SSG a little bit of freedom, Des. They've got that man over. They can leave players up on the top floor. They don't have to commit everybody back to site. Fultz can play his life up there a little bit, see if he can pick anybody else up, and it's not the end of the world if he doesn't manage to make it to the end of the round.
Still trying to work their way through, mind you. They know that SSG are lurking as well. You can see the outlines starting to dance through the map. Not forgetting that as well, we are, of course, defending on towards the downstairs here, but wanted to make sure they still have this vertical control to work with, getting themselves some control here over barrels on the below, looking maybe to start their way in on that west side. And Gomez for the 2nd time this round is clearly having a bit too much fun with the Gara hook, has got himself inside a break room. So a large part of the top floor established, and a lot of M80 here have now dropped their way down and are looking to start a push on this barrel side. They don't care about Dragon side. Everything is coming in from one direction.
Nade going to go over the top there just to clear off the utility. Not looking for players, looking to clear off the electricity so that we can get that breach going on. Nitro will come out, breach is going. That is good. I keep talking about breaching these walls, and M80 have done exactly that. 35 seconds left to go though. It could be a little bit of a tough time factor for them here. They need to start thinking about getting some kills inside a site. There's a good few defenders stacked up.
Oh, Gomez!
Gomez with a big double. We're going to have a man down as well. Bosco down but not out, and this is not looking good for SSG.
Snaps onto the heads there as well. It does not, though, with only 2 left standing. Rampy doing a bit of work from above, joined in by Fultz. Down to a 3 versus 3. Bosco's on his backside, though. Another kill comes in, a 2v2 ensues, and just like that, Rampy and Fultz have dragged the team through what looked like a rough round. 4 kills between the two of them.
Unreal performance from the duo at the end there. It looked, for all the life in them, that round was going to go to M80, but it goes to show, even with those breaches open, it is still a very tough site to attack.
These headshots.
You just need that pressure from multiple sides, because we saw at the end there, look at this perfect example, Fultz is able to just aim in one location. The kills all come in the same position, and that's why I keep banging on and will keep going on about opening multiple walls, because you can't let them focus on one spot.
If that's anything to go by for the rest of this game, though, we said earlier on, Rampy, you saw it on the analysis desk as well, the difference between map 1 and map 2 against Heroic, he was really warming into things. And the one thing about SSG we can't forget is, look, they've had a really, really rough tournament so far. The only game they won in the group stage, they got 4 points, basically the bare minimum to get through because Elevate had 0. They only got a 2-0 win against Elevate. Every other game, they got hammered 2-0. They were against some big teams. They had Koi, they had G2, they had W7M in their group. It's looked like one of the weakest forms of SSG that we've seen in a long time, and I don't know how many expected to see them here. They are still here, and that's really what counts after that win at the start of today. But for me, again, it's pivotal that we see all 5 players from SSG online and gunning if they are going to stop M80 here. M80, you could probably not too beaten up about it. It's 1 round. They're not going to kit themselves too much. Gomez already putting on a bit of a show to start things off, and in the second round, they've doubled down on the shield play. They've got the Monty, and they've got the Blackbeard. DS rocking that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be too worried about that. It's one attack onto a difficult site. It's certainly not the end of the world. It's not going to rattle them at all. But as you say, SSG just, you know, seeming just like Rampy, the team as a whole growing into this tournament a little bit now. And you kind of love to see it. Like I say, they've made it through the difficult days. They've ridden the storm potentially, and they're now in a position where they can start focusing and looking towards those later matches. If they can get themselves through today, 2 matches, you know, both carrying the penalty of going home should they not win them, it will be a big result, a big outcome for them.
I'm real mindful here. If you try and beat away the keeper barrier, well, you put yourself at risk of being sprayed through the soft wall on the far side of the room. So instead they open up the left and look to work their way through. Spirit's taking a little bit of damage here, but nothing that'll lose too much sleep over. So to keep on marching through as the second one comes out. Again, a tiny little bit of chip damage. I'm pretty sure SSG were looking for far more damage than what they got away with there from those 2 impacts.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine for the Monty. Spirits can just continue bullying inside a site, providing intel, and just creating space, really, which is what Monty's all about. You know, just going in there and disrupting what the defence want to do. Kino thinks he's got a line onto somebody there, and he kind of does, but there's just obstacles in the way that are going to prevent him from landing those shots. Hot and Cold just playing in behind that mirror window for the time being.
For sure, and I think sitting behind these is a really good shout here as well. There's one nice and close in the form of the smoke who could do some real damage on the peek out. Deeper out with the smoke here. Does he want to try and move his way inside of the shower? I think he does. And with that smoke being a little bit deeper, does have the option to sneak in. Here he is. Not sure it's necessarily the best place to get yourself post-boxed into, but if he can get himself a kill onto the Monty, for example, that'll be mega.
Bosco, a great smoke player, as we know, and in a position to do some real damage now then. There's the aggression. Rampy is going to be taken down by Yoga. Just didn't see that push coming at all. Fultz and Yeti getting in on the action, but this is just going back and forth. And at the minute, M80 might just win out on trades. There's 40 seconds left to go, and they've got a man advantage. It's 3 versus 2.
Deer's looking to get involved now as well. Awakened somewhat after things have gone a little bit pear-shaped on site. Yes, they've got themselves 3 kills, but still in a spot where they've got to force in through bottlenecks here that can make things really difficult. And look at that, Hot and Cold with a wonderful lineup onto almost 2 players. Fultz finds 1. What a couple of rounds he's having so far. Down to a 2v2 as we come into the last 15. Hot and Cold finds 1. It's a 1v1 between him and the Blackbeard, and Diaz is hunting down his prey.
The thing is, Diaz doesn't have diffuser in hand at the minute, so it just gives another element for Hot and Cold to work on moving in here. I think he knows roughly where he is. But Hot and Cold's going to win it out with the Vector, and that's 2 rounds now that M80 have had a bit of an advantage, have had a position that they could have won the round from, but have failed. And if that starts to stack up, it could be a real problem for them real quick.
What I am loving, Tim, is how close these 2 rounds have been. We were saying earlier on off air that the last 2 days of Siege have been absolutely phenomenal. Probably the best passage, like collection of games of Siege that I've seen probably since I started casting the game, to be honest with you. I've really enjoyed how close so many have been. And this game is looking to keep on that same trend. 2 rounds that ultimately M80 could have won, but SSG have held on.
That's it. I've been absolutely, we're not working till the late shift today, Des. We're doing
We're in for a late one, Tim.
We're doing game 3 and 4 here on the A stream, so we've had the morning to ourselves, but I've been absolutely glued to the screen. I've had it on the TV in the hotel room, just watching everything play out. I've had the second game on my tablet as well, just absolutely taking it all in, and it has been electric viewing so far, and I'm certain it's going to continue across the rest of the night. When you think of some of the matchups that we've got, I mean, here on the A stream, M80 SSG, and then that's going to be followed by the rematch of Lost One Astralis. We remember how good a game that was from the other day, as it was it was one of the best we cast through the groups. So, I'm sure that's going to deliver as well, and then there's some fantastic entertainment over on the B stream.
I just love the upsets we're seeing as well, right? Liquid are gone. We thought BDS might be the ones getting knocked out there, but absolutely not. Sonics have gone as well. A team that everyone coined to be a top 6 team, a real contender, knocked out already. I think someone said it earlier on. We were like, so many big teams going home, and they're like, the thing is, there's only big teams left at this point. And that again, I mean, looking at this game is a real good example. SSG, have won it before. Maybe not having the best performance so far this competition, but both teams fully deserving to be here. But sadly, only one can progress.
SSG going to be defending Lab and Storage for their final, the final round on the quarter of the defensive rotation. Now, there's not much of a top floor presence. Fultz is going to get aggressive, and what a kill! Goes in and absolutely slams Spirit in control. There was only one person in control then, and it was Fultz.
Just unbelievable. To round the corner and slam him with a headshot. Fultz is feeling himself this game. You've seen it between Rampy, you've seen it across Hot and Cold. The three of them really shining in the first 3 rounds. Still, M80 are trying to work their way forward, struggling here so far on their map pick to get around on the board. I wouldn't say struggling in the game itself, because they've come very, very close twice, like we've now seen across those first 2 rounds. Yoga rounding out towards Dragonside and trying to move his way forwards. They want to try and push him mainly here through Armory and Archives, I was about to say, in through Armory and Throne, to then get themselves some access in towards Lab and Storage. So SSG drawing them essentially into a full map clear here that clearly is hurting them when it comes to the clock.
It is, honestly, SSG. And the thing is, SSG are on defense, so we need to not get too carried away at the minute. Gomez is going to pick up Fultz there, level things up 4-4. The reason that I say that is a lot of SSG struggles have particularly come on the attack. So that's going to be the important half for them. But they're doing fantastically well at the minute. Kino is going to pick up Rampy, leveling things up 3 versus 3. 55 seconds left to go, so there's certainly time on the clock. But Diaz, he gets caught out, and so does Kino with a Capcan trap. And that is going to leave us 3v1, and surely another round going to SSG.
Gomez has to know that he can't push in through here. Crossfires galore set up onto the window, goes in, Frostbat, and almost gets Hot and Cold. He was looking the wrong way.
He cannot get away with that.
That was surprising. I really thought they knew that he was on the window, and for a second he almost got away with it, but Hot and Cold connects the kill. 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think we're going to see, are we seeing a tactical timeout brought in by M80? I don't think they're going to pull the trigger just yet. The clock is still ticking. Nope, we're going to move on. I just wondered, we talk about these quarters. There's 3 rounds down, nothing doing for M80 yet. Do you think it might be soon the chance to have that tactical timeout and have a discussion?
I think normally we say after 3 rounds is a good point, because you've seen a good rotation through, but at least here, maybe not. They're feeling confident knowing it's their own map. They worry more about winning their defenses. Getting a couple on the board here in their view might just be enough, and they feel they know what's gone wrong. And the thing is, I also get it. Like we said, those first 2 rounds, really, really close. Could have gone either way. I wouldn't be beating themselves up all that much.
No, absolutely not. We're going to see them go back down to Armory and Throne SSG here. They're just going to restart their rotation. Rinse and repeat and try and do the same thing. I think, to be honest, I feel like this was probably one of the closer rounds for M80. It came down to a real sort of last-ditch hold from Fultz and Rampy. So I'd like to see M80 not, panic too much, not move away from what they were trying to do too much. Just, maybe add on to it a little bit, adapt it a little bit, get one of those walls open, maybe a little Selma charge on the yellow stairs wall, give another angle for SSG to think about, and that might just make the difference.
It will do. Here we go, just in the last of those Capcan traps being deployed by Hot and Cold as well. We saw how those had an impact in that last round, netting one of the final 3 kills that came in to close out the round quite decisively for the side of SSG. Maybe growing in confidence a little bit here, as they are looking to challenge up on this top floor around Cafe straight away. Shield at the ready, and hopefully keeping M80 at bay. But on their side, they've really got to start keeping up the pace a little bit here, I feel. Being choked down towards the closing stages of a round where they are forced into these gunfights that are less than ideal. Have got the tools as well to force a lot of these defenders back. I'm looking at the KB here and just thinking, great. Gives you so much map control incredibly quickly. A great way of sniffing out any defenders who are a little bit too far on the roam. So discipline also got to be shown by SSG.
And Keno getting a little bit of information that Hot and Cold was just playing in and around the vending machine, but not going to be able to land any shots onto him, but does at least offer himself a line of sight through there from the rappel. We're going to see SSG dipping back across the top floor now, almost into the waiting arms of Gomez, but he's unable to get that line of sight. The moving parts just not quite aligning for him then.
I'll give them a call.
There we go. Call number 1 coming out. Bit of information being swung back and forth between the two sides, but it should be M80 who are able to go aggressive. It is SSG and Hot and Cold in particular who are looking to step forward and make it happen. Rampy's out the window, but Gomez, he's just better. Also having a phenomenal game as he hits a second onto Hot and Cold. That's that initial hole from SSG broken wide open, and only 3 stand.
It is. This is a great first half for M80 in this round. Rampy having to hit his shots onto Gomez there at every opportunity, but unfortunately was unable to. The drone-in is going to kick in again. That's not too much of a surprise. There's plenty of time for M80 here. Next thing I'd like to see is them start getting some walls open, but despite the drones rolling around as the Capcan continues to hurt them, Hot and Cold picking one up from beyond the grave.
I remember a time when we used to really laugh when pro players walked into frost mats, into Capcan traps, just like how on earth did you not know it was there? It happens multiple times a game now. Again, whether it's frost or whether it's the Capcan, it doesn't matter. We just keep on seeing people getting caught out by these gadgets. Personally, a bigger fan of the Capcan traps, only because as soon as you know there's one, you know there are 4 more potentially elsewhere around the map that you have to go and deal with. Yogg with a nade coming in into Fultz though. Again, the player on the side of SSG that has started strong here. Bosco swings wide. Spirits gets 2, and M80 finally get on the board.
That's exactly what M80 needed at this point. They didn't want to be going 4 down. It feels like maybe that's going to be the moment just to wake them up a little bit. As we've said, we see teams have a slow start sometimes. SSG, let's not forget, already played today, coming in hot. M80 needing to just settle into things, and that's a good way to do it. That's going to pick them up their first round. Looking at the entries so far, we've had 4 rounds. We've had 2 in either direction, so things are pretty even in many ways here, except the scoreline. But ultimately, that's the one that matters, Des.
The number of times I'd wind mates up over like a result in football back in the UK, they'd be like, oh, you only won 1-0. I'm like, yeah, but it's still 1-0, isn't it?
1-0, 10-0, doesn't matter by an inch.
Don't care how well you played, don't care if you thought you were the better team. I don't want to get excited about this yet, by the way, Tim. I was going to say, I doubt it sticks. DS moving away from the Grim. Sad times. I think we saw it once in the group stage. Grim?
Yes, W7M played Grim and got a kill with him, I believe, as well.
Decent. Just clearly not really making the mainstream when it comes to operator picks so far here at SI. Just as a reminder, though, at the end of the group stage, we had seen every single operator picked on both attack and defense, which is great for showing the operator diversity, the strats teams are employing. Even saw Kavira in round 1 of the whole thing when it was Benja finding Crying.
The thing is, ultimately, you know, not every operator that comes along is going to just go in and be, you know, an immediate insta-pick for competitive teams. I think, if anything, you know, that could be a dangerous situation, because obviously, you know, they're going to be getting more and more powerful each time to dislodge the ones that have gone before them. But yeah, Grim, as you say, not quite bursting onto the scene just yet. You know, is useful in his situations. But we're going to have Yoga going to open up that top hatch. That's going to prevent the play in and around vending machine potentially. Just makes it awfully uncomfortable to challenge onto Cafe Door. Although SSG not too worried about that at the moment.
Got the cover of the ADSs as well in case any do come swinging in the wrong way, but it's in quite a difficult spot for you to be able to nade through. To be fair, it's more of a drop later in the round if you feel you need it, or catching any inattentive defenders that do run the wrong way through and find themselves tagged out pretty much for free. Gomez here once again working his way inside the cache, clearly the designated player regardless of what operator he is playing on. It was Hot and Cold that challenged him here quite early last time around. I don't know if it'll be the same story again. Here's the C4 coming out as well, trying to find the Monty where impact nades won't do. Maybe a C4 would be enough, and he's got back through and got the reinforce off. You cheeky little bugger.
Spirits is going to have to find himself an alternative route through. Bosco manages to find a nice headshot with the SMG-11. I've already commented on Bosco's smoke play. It goes without saying, but it continues as he manages to find himself another absolute beauty there. And he's going to hold them off for as long as anybody else, I imagine, would be capable of in that position.
Also worth stressing as well, you're seeing a lot of Monty because I spoke about this when we saw Theme Park really start to get played last week. You know, I think it was G2 that first said, look, the best way you can get control of really difficult to control rooms, I don't think DS knows about the player behind this table, but difficult to control rooms like Cash, even inside a cafe, is to bring a Monty. You just take control of space where normally you might be challenged from 2 or 3 different angles. You can just march on forwards. So M80 really taking that quite literally and saying, look, we don't want to break this down with lots of intricate utility. A shield should be enough for us. But right now, you got Bosco just handing it to him. Hello? Can't finish him off yet. Finally gets the down as well, straight into the back corner. Is that a blitz? No, it's definitely a Monty.
I'm not sure how Spirit's got away with that one. Bosco managed to break the shield a couple of times and just couldn't bring the shotgun to bear. And Spirits does manage to move on, but super low health now, and it's not going to take very much at all. I look on the side of SSG and my eyes are drawn to the impact nade of Yeti and the nitro of Rampy that could both do that job given the time. Now then, it's 3 versus 4, low health for Kino as well. This is not stacking up well for M80. 15 seconds.
Got to try and force their way to make a plan happen here. I think Spirit's just really conscious of what could go wrong here if he tries to make a plan happen. He needs to get rid of this player, but can't do it. Gets the long range assist. There's the 2 kills that SSG were looking for. Kino left all alone. Rampy on the close. SSG continuing that transformed form that we saw against Heroic.
They're looking great at the minute. Like I say, the big question for me for SSG now is the next half. They've still got a round to go, but when they get onto the attack, can they keep this momentum up? That has been where their problems have been previously. If they can, then you start talking about SSG maybe in slightly different terms, Des. If they come through 2 knockout games today, survive and continue in the tournament, I sort of feel like it maybe wipes the slate clean a little bit for SSG.
You'd hope so, but that means that to get through that second half is the big one I'm really looking for. So we'll see if we get to that point. M80 here, I feel maybe it's time to try something different than the Monty. I know I've said about it helping you take ground, but even with that on side, you're not getting tons out of it. Sure, that last round we saw a push forward. We got the 1 versus 1 coming through. Otherwise, it's kind of ground to a halt inside of initiation and not really pushed all that much further. So a guns up round might be the play here. Otherwise, you're staring down the barrel of a 5-1. And even with SSG going onto the attack, it's going to feel a little bit risky.
It is indeed. We're going to have more Capcom brought along, absolutely no surprise whatsoever. Doing a fantastic job so far. We've seen a couple of kills come through, so M80 needing to pay particular attention to that, make sure that thorough droning is going on, but Bosco on the Mozzie is not going to help them any in that regard. I'm going to make things a little bit more difficult. It may not be that they lose the drones, but it is more about area denial. It's about forcing them to go in with, guess what? Not looking at the doorways and windows that are ahead of them. And that is where the problem comes in.
We spoke about him a little bit earlier on as well, but it feels like we're being ignorant if we don't mention it. DS, 4th rated in the whole competition, top for clutches. So far, sat at 0 and 4. Really hasn't come online, and whilst Gomez had a couple of good rounds to start, also fell a little bit quiet here. Some signs of life. The embers of brilliance almost for M80 are still there, just really yet to come online and start guaranteeing them round wins. Here, though, with 2 minutes left on the clock, they've got to work their way through. They can't find themselves getting held up again because this slower style of play seems to have really benefited SSG when it came around to trying to get control of things like initiation. Here we get the wall being opened up, and as mentioned previously, another full map clear coming in for this site from M80, which for SSG is music to their ears. The longer this takes, the slower it goes, the happier they'll be.
Absolutely. You know, M80, they need to get everybody, as you say, online. They've got a situation where Fultz, Rampy and Hot and Cold have got 16 kills, which is more as a 3 than M80 have got as an entire team at the minute. So they need those other players stepping up. Yeti, he's going to be holding the angle. He's going to be pushed potentially from the opposite side, but no, he's going to survive for just a little bit longer, holding on to that position. M80, they've got some breaches. They've got some opportunities to push forward, but it feels like they're just stalling out a little bit as Yeti manages to get the kill onto Spirits. He's been having a rough game so far, not being able to make the Monty plays work, and now he's going to be taken out as an entry death, and the kills continue, but Kino and Yoga managed to get in around the side and level things up 3 versus 3.
It's a start. They've got some good control here, but again, let's not forget this isn't the site itself. The other 3 members of SSG just tucked away very happily, saying, okay, you've lost 2 attackers trying to push in through the top floor. We've lost 2 defenders. We don't mind that. There are no C4s available for Fultz or Bosco. They have already been used, but again, with 45 seconds on the clock, M80 need to find a way to try and make this work. Last time around, they were boxed out by the 3 remaining defenders from SSG, so based on how things are going here, Tim, I'm a little bit nervous that they'll find a way through.
I'm interested on Bosco, on the Mozzie, just inside of the window there. He could, you know how good he is, and it's taken him a little bit in this tournament, I think, to get rolling. He picked up his first clutch today, I think, but you just know he's one of those players that will close rounds out. Diaz manages to get rampy. That could be the start of Diaz getting himself going. Bosco playing tight on the window there. If they try to come in, it's surely going to be a freebie. He goes actually aggressive, can't find his man, and that is going to be the final kills coming in. M80, Bosco really needed to find that one on the window.
Real good trade at the end there as well. Got a bit nervous for M80 as we hit the last 15. I was like, okay, you're coming in through a window where there's a frostbat and the player ready to challenge you. Either you jump in, get the immediate headshot, and then rely on your team to win the 2 versus 2. Otherwise, you need assistance from elsewhere, and assistance did come from bathroom side. So good stuff to bring it up to 4 and 2. Like I said earlier on, I wouldn't be beating yourself up too much here if you're M80. You're saying here, look, guys, we were a small misstep in a 4v2 and also a 1v1 away from us being up 4-2 on our map pick on the attack. Now they go to the defense. It's SSG who have got to try and figure their way through what should be a very strong M80 defense.
Throughout the tournament, Theme Park has seen about a 60% defender win rate. It was about 57% earlier when G2 were playing on here, but I know that G2 did well on the defense, so I'm going to skew the stats a little bit. I don't know if it'll be at exactly 60 yet, but I think we have seen some improvement again on the defender side today. So it's there or thereabouts, and really SSG, yep, they've got half of the course there. They've got the 4-2 that they needed to get. I think they might see that as a little bit of a missed opportunity. They played very well. There was the potential, I think, at least for a 5-1 to come in there, but unable to get that done. But let's see now. This is where we get into the real fascinating bits. This is where we get into the meat of this match, and that is, how do SSG do on the attack?
Meat and potatoes, Tim. We love them from the UK.
We do.
Big fan of SSG. Toad in the hole.
Love a roast dinner.
Don't. You make me want one now. It's been about a week and a half. Don't know how I'm going to survive the next 5 days.
A good Yorkshire pudding. Which confuses the rest.
Yorkshire. It's not actually a pudding. Don't let the name.
Not a dessert. It is savoury.
Fast move here into the wall coming in. They've got to be careful about Spirits. He's off towards the right, and yet he just gets absolutely slapped out by Kino there as he tries to round the corner. I appreciate the pace at which they've tried to move here and to make things happen quickly, but they've done nothing to clear out yellow stairs, nothing to clear out the player that was hanging around 90. And here, Kino trying to get cheeky, but Hot and Cold's got the answer in the form of a bullet. Down he goes, 4v4.
It's absolutely ruined by Hot and Cold there. Beautiful long shot. Now then, M80 have still got a lot of top floor control here. A couple of players on mezzanine. In fact, Gomez, he's going to take the opportunity to get himself back down into sight while he can. Spirits looks like he's going to be sticking around for a while longer. He needs to. That is good. So, I was just going to say that is good at 1 minute 40, getting that wall open in maintenance, but there's going to be an impact trick, and there is another one in pocket for Diaz.
3 more in pocket for the whole team as well. They can keep on denying this all day long, but again, it almost feels like SSG are trying to, open walls and execute without really considering that there are 5 players on the field there looking to stop you getting some control. So really I'd like to see them try and do a bit of work to unsettle a couple of players here. At the very least, give your hard breacher a bit of a chance to make things happen here. Over it comes over the top, and I think they've got rid of it. Long range, no! First one didn't hit, the second one I think just a fraction of a second too late, and maintenance is open, Tim.
Yep, that's better. Hot and Cold has got 1 Selma left in pocket as well. I'd like to see that deployed on one of these other walls. As I say, multiple angles, much like Church and Arsenal on Clubhouse, where we like to see that push into blue, a bit of dirt tunnel, just really making the defenders spin around on their heels, because we saw in the very first round today with Fultz and Rampy what can happen if that push is too one-sided. Spirits, he's going to drop himself back downstairs. Yes, this is what I wanted to see. Hot and Cold is potentially going to get that barrels wall open as well. There is 1 impact nade left, so it could be denied away, but Gomez, he manages to get 1. Bosco with a direct trade though, and that leaves Diffuser's now in a 3 versus 3. Diffuser's going down, Des.
They forced them up through split as well. They were too scared of the flashes. The pressure coming through. A C4 over the top could be enough. No. Great step away by Bosco and can now resume control. Hot and Cold's got one on the cross here. SSG have got a brilliant crossfire and sets up. 15 seconds left and the plant goes down 2v2.
This is a desperate fight to the death inside a site now, and it's all going to come down to Fultz. He's on the Finker, doesn't have a health boost available at the minute, so he's just going to go in and continue trying to fight. He's got multiple options, they know where he's coming from, but all he needs to do, Des, is keep distracting them for long enough. He needs to make this difficult, kill the cover, that's the one. But no, Spirits on the shotgun will be the man. That's the closest we've seen attackers come in this game to winning that site, but even still, M80 able to turn it around. I feel for SSG a little bit there, Des. It was a beautiful execute. Multiple walls open, great crossfire, gave Bosco the opportunity to get that diffuser down, just couldn't hold on to it in the post plant. It is a difficult site to get out of once you're in.
Range on the shotgun as well, ludicrous.
Yeah.
That was the first plant going down in this game as well. We didn't see a single one back in the first half coming out from M80. Really good recover from them overall. I liked how, I know it looked like they were continuing a lot of ground, but they did kind of maneuver away and said, look, we're losing control of barrels, we're losing control of maintenance. There is nowhere inside a throne that is safe for you to play. So they had no choice but to move their way up north, through split, or back in towards the top side of site. Fundamentally, though, managed to win on the, I suppose, air quotes, retake, although they never really left site in itself. They were still in the room, just opted to step back forward once the control had already been established. SSG, that lead that they had now looks very, very narrow. Only one round in it between the two teams, and you can see M80 battling their way back into this, Tim.
This is exactly the same as every game that has come before it today, and I love it. Every time you've looked at the scoreboard, it's been 4-3, 5-4, 4-4. It's just been every game, you know, teams that are so well matched, and this is what happens on this day of Invitational, whereby a bunch of teams are going home, everybody is fighting for their very lives inside of the tournament, and I think we're in for another 4 games this evening, this one included, that are going to be exactly the same as this.
A real scrap and a battle, absolutely. I mean, it's what you want at this stage of the tournament. I would hate to see teams go out with a whimper at this point. I'd rather they be remembered for really close games, strong performances, for example. You know, maybe Sonics will be remembered for the wrong reason, throwing a 4v1 against Shuttle, for example. But it's just one of those, Tim. It happens, and it's not maybe the right thing to be remembered by, but again, I think most teams would rather be remembered for a good performance than going out getting, for example, 7-2, 7-1.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you might as well go out swinging in the last round, even if it's not, you know, what you might ideally want to see. SSG going to be starting again with the top floor clearance. They're going to be attacking onto lab and storage this time. That's going to be the second site of choice for M80. You feel if M80 can lock down this second defense, they're pretty well positioned to take us to potentially overtime at least. It's all going to be coming down to that tertiary site unless SSG can do something special. They're currently working their way across 1 minute 15. They're not doing bad. They've managed to reach as far as office now, and they can start disrupting these defenders. I'm
pretty sure every single door and archway has been barricaded off there by M80 as well. I know it looks like a really minor thing, but to have to work through every single one on your way through, like Buck, for example, has had to go through loads of his ammo just to be able to burn through these. You then had Sledge having to work his way through office and going through 3 of them as well. It's not like it's the master plan that's going to win you around, but it does shave off that 10, 15, 20 seconds to get all the way forwards, and then you've got to deal with keeper barricades that you simply can't do at range. So I think it's really smart coming out of M80. Maybe you're hoping the attackers will burn through some of their range utility like a frag grenade to safely remove those barricades at distance, but here there's still far more work to do. Stepping forwards now, SSG have found themselves 2 kills, M80 failing a little bit, Tim.
Yep, this is a great start for SSG. They need, if they want to win.
Oh, that's C4. The timing, pull. Yogg, no!
He's missed his chance, Yoga. You were just too late on that one. SSG, if they can get the attacking round win now, it changes the landscape of this game, Des. We've spoken about how M80 are going to be aiming for that 4-2 minimum, try and get themselves to overtime, but this is their second choice site, and if SSG can take it away, all of a sudden it starts looking good, but the diffuser gets dropped outside as Bosco is found by Kino out of the window, leaving us now 4 versus 3, 20 seconds left to go, and the diffuser still needs needs to be delivered to the site.
I was about to say crack Kino, but the only thing is crack now is down into the ground. The earth that he's buried under. Rampy rounds for one more again. What a game he's having. SSG looking pretty good here. Diaz, the last one left standing. The real poster child for M80 here at SI, has got to do it against 4 as the plant is going down.
It's almost certainly going to be stuck, and we will see it confirmed there as Hot and Cold gets the plant. Diaz just trying to push forward. He's got the storm in hand. It's certainly not a bad weapon to be finding a few kills with, but a 1 versus 4 with at which point SSG definitely going to be outside of the windows, outside of the map and waiting for the fight. But M80 have lost almost every single head-to-head gunfight in that round. I'm thinking about Diaz at the end. I'm thinking about the kill that Rampy found coming down arcade stairs. Every time it's been 50-50, SSG have come out on top of it, and they just look like a different beast. Put this performance next to their day 1, day 2, and let's have a look at the difference, because SSG are looking pretty good right now.
I feel like we stepped back to SI 2020, Tim. Seeing Fultz and Rampy consistently winning gunfights against... Yeah, let's not beat about the bush here. There are a lot of veterans, older players still in the game that are, you know, being put to test. No, absolutely nothing wrong with that, Tim.
Nothing wrong with that, Des.
You and I are in that club. But really being put to test by a lot of the new young gunners that are coming in. You know, Diaz being one of them, looking at players like Newers. We've seen Spoit popping off. Benja. There's a lot of very young young talent coming in that are absolutely phenomenal and really making sure that you can still deliver. Rampy and Fultz this game have been unbelievable. I know they're both at 7 and 5. You can't ignore Hot and Cold, but to see 2 of the older players on this roster that have been around for a good while still up there with the best is a really encouraging thing for SSG and exactly what they needed in this series. There is still work to do. It is only 5 and 3. I'm speaking like it's maybe 6-2, 6-3 here. A lot more to do, and M80 can still battle their way back in, but we've really got to see DS start delivering the goods.
I mean, experience is something that I put in my, my pre-tournament notes for SSG.
I thought you were about to say you put in your CV, and I was like, of course you do, Tim, because it's all you got.
It's all I've got. It's all I'm bringing to the table. Age and experience. No, it's something that I put in my notes about SSG. You cannot ignore it from this roster. They've got a core of 3, Fultz, Rampy and Bosco particularly, who've been with the org for a long time and a lot of experience. You've then got Hot and Cold, who's obviously, not been there quite as long, but still has been around the game as long. It's just there is a fantastic recipe for success there with players that are not going to be rattled by difficult situations. They've been in them, they've been through them, they've won through them, they've done it before. And then you've got Yeti. If he can start delivering the numbers that he has inside of NAL over the next few days, then SSG could become a real force.
For now, he's moral support. He's just screaming at DS every time they win around. Like, DS! Just letting him know, hey, where are you? What's going on? We ain't seeing you, buddy. And right now, they really do need to be seeing you if you're M80. But we said about this, Tim, SSG have played a game today. They're warm, they're ready, they're more than familiar with how to play this one out as well against M80, a team they've played across the NAL 3 times this year, beaten 2 of those 3 times. So you'd hope a little bit more kind of au fait, a bit more experience with the playstyle that comes out of M80, and so far have found all the right answers. Hot and Cold's turn on the Monty, by the way.
It certainly is. They've got control of control, so they're going to be pushing in towards initiation. He hasn't got himself led down at the minute. He's been misdrawn there. They're not aware of his position. This is going to have to be damaging.
Oh dear,
it's going to be the Monty.
Oh, now they know.
They know. They've put
he's got one.
Yoga's got one. Hot and Cold on the trade, though, and that works out pretty well for SSG.
That could have gone very, very wrong if we didn't have Hot and Cold looking off to his left there as he rounded that corner. The Monty would have been down, and that wouldn't have quite been round over, but it would have been a serious setback to basically have a player being rendered ineffective and bringing nothing into the round itself. M80 backing away slightly here and just saying to SSG, you want the ground, then by all means step into our cave. But there's still so much to do and still so much control they don't yet have. All I'm noticing though really is Fultz behind them. He thought he was going to work through Cafe here and really try and go for a backstab, but here he's going to rotate over towards Break Room and hook up with his team.
Yeah, this is it. SSG need to find a kill or 2 before they start going in trying to get a plant down. I think it's going to be difficult to cover Hot and Cold from this position. He's pushed his way all the way through to Arcade Mez though, and he's just forcing Diaz back there on the Wamai. Now then Kino, big kill onto Bosco, and it's all starting to fall apart as Kino doubles down, finds himself another, and that's going to be a double in the middle of the round, leaving us now 2 versus 4. Rampy comes in though, gets one. This is still doable. Diffuser is going to start going down, but no, go as Rampy is killed. That's going to be it. Diaz at the end with a nice double for him, and that's M80 taking themselves the defense of Bunk and Daycare.
So well played by M80 as well. You just saw them consistently stepping back like a line of hurdles. They were trying to make SSG jump over. Every time they got control of one area, there was nothing nowhere to be seen for M80. They were all in the shadows. Then they get the next line. M80 moved back yet again. They had 2 players out on the arcade balcony, for example. 1 dug in by Cafe. There was only 1 player actually on site itself. But as soon as the step forward comes in, Diaz is there to jump all over them, get the 2 kills they need, and make sure M80 are staying competitive. 4-5 now. And we move back downstairs onto that primary site, Tim.
It's a really smart play from Yoga there. I don't know how much information he had, but the kill that he managed to find onto Yeti, you could see the thought process that he just thought, you know what, I'm not engaging the Monty because there's a good chance that I'll lose this kill. He's massive shield in front of his body. You know, even with his pistol out, there's just a good chance that I'll lose this. I need to do something what I can. And getting that kill onto Yeti was it. And it was a really good decision from him. So we're going to head down to Armour and Throne. Gomez is just struggling with his shield a little bit there. He was trying to get it positioned up on top of the box, but just could not find the sweet spot that would allow him to do so. So that's just meant that he's had to position it slightly behind there. We'll see if that has any impact. There's going to be a keeper barricade played in that position to offer the same sort of cover.
Only one of SSG's 3 attacking rounds where they haven't got the plant down as well. Had it in both of those first 2 rounds. As a reminder, 0 for M80 coming in the first half, so a bit of a different objective focus coming out from SSG, at least up to this point.
Bolts straight away towards the bathroom window, I think just conscious of any potential peaks coming out. M80 not wanting to play with that sort of aggression so far, and it's understandable. You know, you tend to see it out of your players who've been hitting some big shots and maybe, you know, feeling the blood pumping and they're ready for it. They're up to the windows, they're up to the edge of the map, but for M80 it feels like a much more measured affair than that at the minute.
It does, and this is where I really need to see SSG getting a little bit backstabby here as well. If you know that M80 are adapted to what you're doing, if they're kind of like skirting around you in the shadows and then striking when they know they can get a kill, you need to be the ones to really take the initiative here and try and find a way to unravel this. 2 of them out towards lab storage, quite a spread actually across the map overall for M80. Only one of them, I think, on site at this point. But as we saw last time, SSG tried to go direct to site, opening up a couple of walls, and they were shut down at both turns.
They were. It was a great attack from SSG. I did like it, but as you say, it just didn't work out for them in the end. It's just such a tough site to attack onto. That's what we've been seeing over SI so far. Teams really struggling to get it done. Now then, we're going to have M80 just completely falling back to site. That's all 5 on site, halfway mark of the round. They've decided enough's enough. They're going to keep a barricade off the doorway when the time comes, and that is going to leave them now to just turtle up and hold on.
Down to a minute and 15 does mean as well that it's getting to a point where this does start to have an impact. You know, SSG have still got to do a lot of setup work. They're looking towards that vertical control. They're still got to work their way through these walls, potentially. Lots of stuff to figure out on their way towards the site here, and it's odd to actually find, Tim, that we've got all 5 alive on both sides.
It is. An odd position for the electrical there. I dare say that through the wall it could probably be seen. Obviously, they've got to spot it, and they've got to know that it's there. But I think with lying prone, you would surely be able to see that from inside of barrels. Maybe I'm incorrect, but we're going to have the yellow wall going to be opened. That is successfully done. So that is the ingress point for SSG. Rather than trying to push for the plant behind Throne Des, they're going to be playing for it in behind Pillar.
Really want to find a couple of kills here as well. Look, SSG got a player on either side. They've got one playing upstairs. Well, I'll tell you what, he's looking to get himself up them stairs there away from the Warden too. Bosco's got the right idea. There is one off towards the right-hand side, but Tim, there's 20 seconds left and no one has died yet. This is going to be an absolute slaughter.
It is. I don't see any way that SSG come out on top of this, to be honest. There's too many angles for them to push into. Kino, he's going to find the first onto Hot and Cold. Rampy manages to get Gomez, 4 versus 4, but there's no opportunity to get the diffuser down. Absolutely not a chance. They're going in. They're being just cut down as they step foot inside. Yoga Spirits getting one apiece, and that is going to be M8 taking the round and leveling things up 5-5.
There we go. That's the catch-up point we were looking for. Again, for SSG, just leaving things a bit too late there to try and make the play happen. But really, a lot of that came down to M80 in the early round, forcing them to chase shadows around the map for the longest while. And then when there was 75 seconds left, there was still everything to do. Electro Claws were still available. They had players ready on either side of the wall to go for the challenge once the breach opened up. just no real control being established by SSG, and maybe this is where you're starting to see the cracks show a little bit on a map pick that isn't really their own. It was M80's map pick, and no doubt you can see why it is their most popular map overall.
Yeah, M80 definitely waking up now, and it's not going to be an easy finish for SSG at the minute. I sort of look at it, I think SSG are going to be thinking about these last 2 rounds, thinking we still need to get one here.
Yep.
You know, we still need to get one of these if we want to take it into overtime. That's surely going to be the focus at the minute, is guaranteeing themselves that extra bit at the end. Initiation office is going to be our defensive site for M80. We will likely see the push from SSG coming in one of 2 ways. It'll either be through cafe and break room trying to get control over the west side, or there is the more direct approach of control and cash. The majority of attention that we've seen from the attacks during this map has been from control and cash.
My only frustration for SSG, well, it's not my only, but the main one is that they keep on playing into the setup as well out of M80. I mentioned last round, I want to see more of a backstab attempt coming in, trying to do something a little bit different, getting behind them, cut off their retreats back, pincer on the members that are playing a little bit further away from sight. And here where you saw the setup coming out of M80, it was facing out towards the east side, out towards Dragon. Already we've got 2 players from SSG working their way in from the west side, Bosco on the upstairs, Fultz on the under, so they are trying to kind of play it from the less favourable side, arguably, for M80, but the difficulty being against an Azami, every side is favourable.
Fultz is already inside of the map here. It's that aggression that we were speaking about. You know, maybe it needs to be SSG that take the fight if M80 are not keen to do so and are playing more of a shadow game. Yeti, he's got the nade in hand. He's going to be moving out
that for a while.
Not going to catch hold of his man. He's back up to the top of yellow stairs. And again, M80 just playing that game well of sort of just towing the line, just getting themselves up to the point of a conflict, and then actually we're going to just step back a little bit. We're just going to burn a little bit more time. We're just going to let you keep chasing us.
My main nervousness is here is they've all now gone for the west side, so rather than having 1 or 2 coming in, DS almost going down. Rather than 1 or 2 coming in on Dragon's side, everyone has gone towards the west. I'm all for pushing as a group here, but it feels a bit too predictable for M80 to be able to deal with. Doesn't stop Yoga being the first one going down. Hot and cold to start things off as he moves up to 12 and 6.
That's something for SSG at least, and again, I like this, that they're taking the chance, they're trying something different. As I said, the majority of attacks so far have come in from the opposite side of the map. They're trying to catch M80 out, but they're not going to, as Diaz and Gomez, they managed to find 2, leaving us now in a 4 versus 3. M80 with a good advantage here. They're actually only 1 of M80 is on site at the minute. They really have stepped up and taken this fight to SSG. Yeti, he's 1 versus 4, 1 versus 3. Can he find himself another? No, they dip into cafe, and it is a matter of time until M80 for the first time on Difmark find themselves a lead.
They've really taken charge here, Tim, in this second half, and we kind of expected it. They probably felt unlucky, as we said, not to be 4-2 up after that first half, given how the first 2 rounds went. But here's an SSG tactical timeout.
Most of these attacks, like we're in, if we just like, is a little bit more, guys. Where do we think they're gonna go now?
Lab.
Yeah.
We have third side, right?
Lab or bone.
All right, what do we want to do? Let's talk about it.
I don't think we do the BZ attack. I think we gotta go east.
For lab?
We could go east. You could try
Or
to
bump.
get them.
He's saying we could go bump. Lab,
Yeah,
I think we do. Lab, I think we try to take throne if they go there, and then we do like where we work up yellow, do quad.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that if they go.
Just kill us some guy. We should get a dose and do that. Dope goes outside hell hell.
We should take, like, some guy should take control still of that, because they give it to us. Like, we should.
This round's
Yeah,
ours.
one guy just pushes up the quad.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Alright, third lab. Who's going quad? Who's going pass?
No comment.
Recognising what I think we've been saying there, you know, SSG saying we need to go in and take control because they're giving it to us, you know, and that's what we've said about M80. They're not really pushing to meet SSG at the point of entry. They're not really pushing to get aggressive onto them. They're sort of happy to invite them in a little bit and then just waste time, and then take the fights later on. SSG wanting to take advantage of that, but I do have to say, you know, not to be too critical of the tactical timeout. Everybody's got their own styles individually, each team. It just felt for me like there wasn't a lot of urgency in that from SSG. It was very much, or even leadership, you know, even
a bit laboured.
It was just, well, yeah, we could kind of do this, or maybe we could try this, or, you know, rather than this is what we need to do to win, this is the confidence, this is what we're going to go for.
Yeah.
It was more sort of just, well, maybe this, we could try that.
I'm never really one to shy away from sticking my neck out a little bit to making some statements. And, you know, I won't lie. During the group stage, I had a few comments about, you know, how these tactical timeouts have gone. They have felt quite slow. Lycan only was on an interview and said, look, the guys trust me. It's the way that we work together. We know that it plays out. But again, I can't help but feel in a spot where your team's about to lose a map that's not your own pick. This is the time for someone to step up as a leader, whether it's coach or someone in game, and say, right, here's what we're going to do about it, rather than just saying, just a little bit more, guys. That's all we need. I do want to see something a bit more prescriptive at times like that when your team very clearly needs the push, because truthfully, I think that's what you're going to need to be able to go and win it all. I know some of the players on this team have already done it before. That was when they had Canadian on side. We know exactly what he's like when it comes to being a prescriptive leader, so that's what I think could be missing here. But SSG might just shut me up completely and win this round with a really good attack.
The thing is, I'm sure it's probably happened at the beginning of the round from the IGL. Like, you know, I'm just thinking, if I'm in that team and I'm coming away, have I got a clear picture in my head now of, right, this is what I need to do, this is what needs to come from me, and I feel like there was maybe, you know, a little bit of room there for, you know, it might be this, it might be that. We'll see.
What we'll also say is I'm happy that, again, like I said the other day, Lycan's always had the belief and philosophy that teams need to be able to figure things out for themselves.
Absolutely, 100%.
You can't talk to them all game, so that's what he said there is, right, guys, what are we doing? You know, talk about it. Let's just talk for 45 seconds. So I don't fault that at all either. I think it's not a bad tactic to get the team talking, but it does draw that question of, okay, then who's really taking this ball by the reins and leading it all the way through? Let's see then, 90 seconds remaining here for SSG, potentially on Theme Park, unless they can pull this last round out the bag. We've got Fultz rocking up on the Amaru. He started out strong, as did Rampy. Both have slowed down a little bit in the second half, so we've got to see them come to life here, otherwise it's lights out.
Still, I won't say still setup work.
No. They're just transforming based on where
changing based on what is happening in front of them.
Shields being moved.
So they're going to start to rearrange so that they can front up. And again, that plays into what M80 have been doing so far. Here goes Fultz. That's well timed with the E1D. It's going to send him straight in, but he's going to face up to another barricade as a tactic that we've seen from M80 throughout. First kill goes to Diaz. Going to pick up hot and cold. Gomez with another. And M80, they've got their number here, Des. They know exactly what's coming, and once again SSG have struggled on the attacking half. That is where this map is likely to be lost. Jogger, he's looking to get aggressive. Nitro already gone, doesn't find his man, but it's 5 versus 3. It's 30 seconds left to go.
They've tried everything they can here. They've tried to take 3 separate 1v1s and lost out. In previous rounds, they've bunched up, but nothing is working to get through the M80 blockade. Yeti working his way up yellow, isn't aware of the player to his left, gets shut down. Fultz is the last one left standing. I don't see him doing it, and neither did M80. They take Theme Park 7-5.
Not the end of the world for SSG. It's M80's pick. They've gone in there. They've made a good game of it. I think the broader problem for it as a whole is that warms M80 up for the rest of it now. We saw that opportunity at the beginning of the map for SSG where they came in and they were knocking them about a little bit. But that's not going to be the case, you don't feel, on the second map. M80 are going to be straight up for it. And SSG, what we see in there, for me, plays into a little bit what I was saying at the end. It's, you know, that tactical timeout seemed a little bit deflated, a little bit, you know, lacking that, you know, confidence that, you know, this is what we're going to do, that drive, and it just sort of shows on them there. They seem a little bit tired, a little bit exhausted.
Well, Clubhouse is their map. It's time for them to get rallied up and see if they can keep themselves here at SI. They lose one more map and they are out. M80, though, want to make sure they're the ones inflicting that level of pain on SSG. Don't go anywhere. Back in a few